Breaking news for every American driver. February 2026 brings 10 massive driving law changes that could cost you thousands, and most people have no idea they're coming. Smash that subscribe button right now, because missing this information could be an expensive mistake. Rule number 1 will absolutely shock you. Rule number 10, distracted driving. Crackdown with massive fines. Here's something that's going to surprise millions of drivers starting this February. Cell phone restrictions while driving are about to get incredibly strict, and the financial penalties are unlike anything we've seen before. More than 12 states are rolling out brand new legislation or completely overhauling their current rules with penalties that are 10 times worse than before. Think about what you're paying now if you get caught with your phone. In most places, it's been somewhere between $50 and maybe $100 for a first-time offense. Starting February 2026, getting caught in states like Georgia, Ohio, or Pennsylvania will hit you with fines between $200 and $500 on your very first violation. Get caught doing it again? You're staring down fines between $500 and a full $1,000. They're also slapping points onto your license that won't disappear for years, which means your insurance company is going to charge you way more every single month. If you keep getting tickets for phone use, the state can actually force you into mandatory driving classes that come straight out of your own pocket. They can order you to perform unpaid community service. And if they really want to make an example out of you, they have the power to suspend your driving privileges entirely for 1 month, 2 months, or even 3 full months. Rule number 9. Automated traffic cameras multiplying across America. This next change is happening so fast that most people won't even realize what hit them until they get a ticket in the mail. Traffic enforcement cameras are being installed at an absolutely insane pace all over the United States right now. We're talking about hundreds or possibly thousands of new camera locations popping up in the next few months. These systems are charging higher fines than ever, and they're programmed to be way less forgiving about how much you can exceed the speed limit. You're probably thinking these cameras are nothing but cash machines for local governments. Here's the thing, I completely get why you feel that way. The argument about whether these cameras actually save lives or just drain wallets has been going on for years. But here's what you need to understand. Regardless of your personal feelings about fairness or effectiveness, these cameras exist. They're being installed in more locations every single week. And if you're not paying extremely close attention to your speed and making complete stops at every red light, you're going to get a ticket mailed to your house. Rule number 8, DUI limits being reduced dramatically. This rule deals with alcohol consumption and driving, and you need to listen carefully because this is absolutely critical information. A growing number of states are changing their blood alcohol limits to much lower levels while simultaneously making the consequences for violations far more severe than they've ever been. These changes take effect in February 2026. What's happening here is a massive enforcement shift that's going to shock people who believe they're making responsible choices. The current legal threshold across nearly the entire nation sits at 0.08% blood alcohol content. Then, Utah decided to break from the pack a few years back and became the nation's first state to lower their limit all the way down to 0.05%. Now, several other states are copying that approach starting right now. Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Hawaii are all either implementing the 0.05 standard immediately or moving very quickly toward making it official. The practical difference in real-world terms is absolutely enormous. Under these new stricter limits, consuming just 1 drink, or maybe 2, could push you over the legal threshold depending on factors like how much you weigh, whether you're male or female, and how fast you consumed those drinks. Behavior that was previously considered perfectly legal and safe can now result in your arrest, thousands of dollars in attorney fees, court costs, and a permanent mark on your driving history that never goes away. Let me ask something in the comments section. Have you ever had 2 drinks and then driven yourself home because you felt completely normal and in control? Tell me in the comments, because I'm curious how many people have been in this exact situation. Rule number 7. EV owners facing expensive annual fees. Electric vehicles and emissions regulations are at the center of rule number 7. And while this gets somewhat technical because every state handles it differently, you absolutely need to know about it because it could drain hundreds from your bank account annually if you own the wrong type of vehicle. Beginning in February 2026, numerous states are either introducing registration fees specifically targeting electric vehicles or raising existing fees to much higher levels. You never contribute any gas tax revenue when you plug your car in to charge at home or use public charging infrastructure. Gas taxes have always been the primary funding mechanism that states rely on to maintain highways, repair damaged roads, and keep the entire transportation network operational. But electric vehicle adoption is growing rapidly, which means gas tax revenue is declining at an equally rapid pace. In places like Texas, Ohio, Virginia, Georgia, and quite a few others, anyone who owns an electric vehicle now has to pay a special yearly registration fee. These fees start around $100 and can climb to $200 or higher, specifically designed to make up for the fact that EV drivers never buy gasoline and therefore never pay gas taxes. Rule number 6, reckless driving laws becoming brutal. Rule number 6 carries serious weight, and here's what makes it particularly important. This doesn't just affect people who intentionally drive like maniacs or participate in illegal racing. Street racing penalties and reckless driving punishments are about to become dramatically harsher in February 2026. And what most people don't understand is that the official definition of reckless driving covers far more behavior than you probably think it does. State governments are reacting to rising numbers of illegal racing activity, increasingly dangerous driving patterns, and several major accidents that made headlines because reckless drivers caused them. Florida, Nevada, Georgia, and California have all responded by creating punishment systems that are more aggressive than anything we've seen in the past. Let me give you a specific example from Florida so you understand exactly what's happening. If law enforcement catches you racing or driving recklessly, they're authorized to tow your car away right there in that moment for up to 30 consecutive days. All of those costs combined can easily hit you for several $100s or climb into the thousands, depending on how many days pass before you can get your vehicle back. Some states have started targeting people who show up to watch street races, not just the actual drivers participating. If police find you standing on the sidewalk watching an illegal race happen, even though you're not behind the wheel of any vehicle, you can still face fines, potential arrest, or vehicle impoundment just for being present at the scene. Rule number 5, license renewal process getting tougher. Rule number 5 tends to blindside people because the renewal process has been basically the same simple procedure for such a long time that nobody expects it to change. License renewal procedures are getting significantly more demanding in multiple states beginning in February 2026, which means you might discover that renewing your license isn't nearly as quick or straightforward as it used to be. Multiple states are now adding mandatory testing requirements to the renewal process, with particular focus on drivers above certain age levels. Illinois, California, Florida, and Pennsylvania are all either implementing or expanding requirements that include vision examinations, written knowledge assessments, and sometimes even complete behind-the-wheel driving tests for anyone over a specific age, typically around 70 or 75. Aging affects people's eyesight quality, slows down their ability to react quickly in dangerous situations, and some individuals develop health problems that interfere with safe driving capability. Many senior citizens have been operating vehicles for 4 decades, 5 decades, sometimes even 6 decades, without ever causing an accident or creating any safety issues whatsoever. For those drivers, being forced to sit through a complete road examination just to maintain their license feels incredibly disrespectful and unjust. What's your take on this situation? Drop your opinion in the comments. Do you believe older drivers should be required to pass road tests for license renewal? Or does this cross the line into unfair age-based discrimination? I genuinely want to know where you stand on this issue. Rule number 4. Traffic and parking violations, doubling in cost. Rule number 4 might not sound as dramatic as some of these other changes, but don't underestimate it because these costs accumulate fast and keep draining money from your wallet repeatedly throughout the entire year. Parking violation fines and traffic ticket costs are climbing substantially in cities and states nationwide starting in February 2026. A lot of municipalities haven't touched their fine amounts in many years, sometimes even multiple decades. And now they're updating everything simultaneously with significant increases across the board. That parking ticket that used to cost you $25, it's probably going to be $50 or $75 now. That speeding ticket that was $100 before, expect it to jump to $150 or even $250 based on how much faster you were traveling compared to the posted limit. City officials justify these increases by pointing to inflation that's built up over many years, rising costs associated with law enforcement operations, and the belief that higher financial penalties discourage people from breaking traffic laws more effectively. Rule number 3. Dashboard cameras becoming state requirements. Rule number 3 represents something completely new that only a handful of states are experimenting with currently, but it has the potential to expand to many additional locations in the near future. Certain states are beginning to require or heavily promote the installation of dashboard cameras in vehicles. And in some situations, installing one of these cameras can reduce your insurance premiums or protect you from being held responsible for accidents you didn't cause. Nevada and certain areas within California are running pilot programs that ask commercial vehicle operators, rideshare service drivers, and even ordinary private car owners to mount forward-facing cameras that continuously record whatever happens on the road ahead of them. Dashboard camera recordings create undeniable evidence showing exactly what occurred during an accident, assist police officers in conducting more accurate crash investigations, cut down on fraudulent insurance claims that drive up costs for everyone, and can prove your innocence if another driver causes a collision and then tries to put the blame on you. Several insurance providers have started offering discount rates between 5 and 15% off your regular premium if you agree to install an approved camera system and provide the footage whenever an accident or incident takes place. Rule number 2, driving without insurance now costs a fortune. Rule number 2 targets drivers who operate vehicles without maintaining proper insurance coverage, and the financial consequences are becoming absolutely brutal across numerous states. Starting in February 2026, Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, and Tennessee are all raising fines and penalties to much higher levels for anyone caught driving without valid insurance documentation. Driving uninsured has technically been against the law in virtually every state for a long time, but many jurisdictions treated it fairly leniently in the past. Getting pulled over without proof of active insurance coverage could mean facing fines that start at $500 and escalate to $1,000 or beyond, even if it's your very first offense. Police can have your vehicle towed and impounded immediately, which triggers additional towing charges and daily storage fees that pile on top of your original fine. Your license can be suspended on the spot for anywhere from 30 to 90 days, during which time you're legally prohibited from driving at all. Some states will also suspend your vehicle registration, making it impossible to legally operate that specific car until you purchase insurance, settle all outstanding fines, and complete a reinstatement process that takes additional time and costs even more money. Here's my question for the comments. Do you think these extremely harsh penalties against uninsured drivers are justified, or do they create unfair hardship for people who are already dealing with financial struggles? Share your perspective in the comments, because people have strong feelings on both sides of this debate. Rule number 1, teen driver restrictions. Reaching extreme levels. Rule number 1 impacts young drivers and parents with teenage children in profound ways. And this is the rule that's going to leave you absolutely stunned. Multiple states are overhauling their graduated licensing programs starting in February 2026 by adding more limitations, extending waiting periods, and creating stricter qualification requirements that young drivers must satisfy before earning full unrestricted driving privileges. Graduated licensing systems have been around for quite a while, but different states ran them very differently, and some versions were fairly relaxed and easy to complete. Virginia, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Washington are all tightening their regulations substantially as a response to statistical data showing that teenage drivers have considerably higher accident rates than any other age demographic on American roads. Young drivers under 18 years old will now be forced to hold learner's permits for much longer periods before they're even eligible to attempt their driving examination. Some states are requiring 12 full months with a permit, instead of the 6 months that used to be standard. Required supervised practice hours are being doubled or even tripled, with some states demanding 60 to 100 hours of driving practice under parental supervision instead of the 30 to 40 hours that was previously required. Nighttime driving curfews are being moved significantly earlier, with certain states now prohibiting teen drivers from operating vehicles after 9 o'clock at night, instead of the 11 p.m. cutoff that was typical before. Several states are implementing a zero-tolerance violation policy that requires teen drivers to maintain a completely perfect driving record with absolutely no infractions whatsoever for an entire year before they can progress to the next licensing stage. A single speeding violation, one incomplete stop at a stop sign, one minor error of any kind, and the entire 12-month countdown resets completely back to day one, forcing them to start the whole process over from the very beginning. If this video just saved you from thousands in fines and penalties, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Drop a comment telling me which rule shocked you the most. Share this with every driver in your life because this could save them serious money. Stay safe out there.